there, my name is Oddimus Prime, and welcome everybody to another exciting episode of Transformers 84 to 24, 40 years of rolling out. As ever, I am joined by my illustrious co-host, Primetime Moff. Hello, Moff.
Hi, mate. How are you?
Doing good. I'm doing good. Continuing on with the preamble for the show. Every week we discuss a year of the Transformers history from 1984 all the way up to 2024. And this year we have reached the year 2005, which is a very significant year for Transformers, which we'll get onto in a minute. So if you are watching us or indeed listening to us, please like and subscribe and join us on this incredible journey, which will hopefully finish by the end of the year. 2005. What does 2005 mean to you, Mr. Moff?
2005. Another point, so I shared, I was still with my ex at this point, who was not really into me buying toys and was more into me spending money on her because that was how we lived. And funnily enough, it didn't really continue living with her. So there's lots of toys in this I didn't know. I'm really excited to chat through the releases. I was sharing with my actual wife that I've really enjoyed the last 2 or 3 episodes where it's just toys I don't know about. And, we talked about Terradive. I'll make sure I remember his name this time round. So Terradive, the Minicon, we talked about him recently, and my genuine excitement and joy at learning there was new variations of a toy that I absolutely love went to sheer horror when I realized the price of said Minicon. And I don't need it. It was more just fun to know about them. It's not one that I need to fall down that rabbit hole. I think if I'd bought if I was able to get one, it would have been a rabbit hole. But the fact they were all a bit expensive, I thought, oh, that's crazy. But that was a mental moment. And I think there's stuff in I've tried not to look too much at the prep for this because I genuinely am looking forward to chatting through and hearing from you some of these toys that I didn't know about. So yeah, that's my excitement of 2005 in a nutshell.
That was very nutshell-y. So yeah, for me for 2005, it was. I remember buying most of Energon. Cybertron, I definitely tailed off on a bit. I got quite a few of the figures. We'll get to them when we get into the toys, but there's definitely ones I didn't get. I remember actually when Energon was still a big thing, and Energon is still touched upon this episode. We'll get back to that in a minute. But there was a Forbidden Planet briefly in Dartford near where I live, and I went there, and they had Galaxy Force figures. So before they'd come out over here, and I went there a couple of times. I only bought Transformers, obviously. The first time I went there, I bought Galaxy Force Vector Prime, who is gorgeous and so much. This is back when Takara were releasing figures that just looked so much better than the Hasbro ones, as part of the course, rather than like special edition paint jobs. This is just how they were. Right. And there's a Minicon 3-pack as well that I got, and they were amazing. And then Cybertron itself started coming out soon after, and I picked up a fair few figures, but I did not pick up everything by any means. And yeah, Vector Prime is just amazing. Such a lovely figure. But anyway, we'll get back onto that. Another interesting part of the Transformers lore and history is the significance of the year 2005. What is the significance of the year 2005, Mr. Moff? Come on now, don't disappoint me.
It was the year that Bumblebee the movie was set. I'm only kidding. Yeah, yeah. And I remember as growing up, 2005 felt like, oh my God, this so distant future. And now it's so distant past.
I mean, next year
there's as many. Am I right? Let me see if I do this math right. There's as many years from now to 2005 as there was from when the 1986 movie came out to 2005.
I mean, you're 1 year off.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, because 1986,
To nine,
2005. Oh,
was
wait.
19 years,
Yeah,
2005
no,
to
you're right. You're right.
2024.
Shush, shush, shush. Yeah, 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 yeah.
You didn't
Okay,
get me. I was
fine,
like,
fine.
calling
Yeah, I
you out.
see where you're going. I see where you're going. I see where you went with
That's
that.
mad. Actually, to
That
think of
is
that, like,
absolutely bonkers. Yeah, yeah. So anyway, yes, Transformers the movie was set in the far-flung future of 2005. Um, it's a weird thing with sci-fi generally that you'll have something set in the far distant future, and then you'll get to that point in time, and not only is it absolutely nothing like that, but also, I mean, I suppose when you're living at a time, it doesn't really feel any particular different because I don't think, in my mind, there's anything massively different between 2005 and say 1990 in terms of
yeah, yeah, yeah.
a
The
lot of
general,
a lot of things. I mean,
yeah,
yeah, you had things like the internet, but we didn't have flying cars. We
no,
weren't wearing
not
weird
revolutionary
jumps.
stuff.
No, we weren't on the moon. We weren't wearing
Hoverboards,
weird
hoverboards,
hoverboards.
hoverboards. Back to the Future and Transformers the movie lied to us, Simon. As
No,
children, I guarantee every child of the 80s thought we are going to have hoverboards in the future. This is going to be amazing. And the hoverboards things that came out are not freaking hoverboards. They don't
no,
hover
no,
like
no.
miss
That's
sailing.
just no.
Sorry.
Just
Have you been
terrible.
missold a have you been missold a hoverboard?
Hoverboard. uh, Yeah, so there we go. That's the significant. So canonically, we have the deaths of many Transformer characters in the year 2005. But anyway, that actually has no real bearing on what we are talking about today. The actual media and stuff that was coming out for Transformers in the year 2005 was very different from what we might have thought if we were on hoverboards and in flying cars and etc. We had Transformers Energon episodes 40 to 51, the final few episodes of the Energon cartoon, in which many significant things happened. I am sure something to do with Energon pylons and giant Unicron being taken over and planets being resurrected and things to do with Quintesson Alpha and Megatron dying and or not dying and coming back as Galvatron. Obviously, as we've well established, our recollection of the cartoons is poor.
I mean, I've never saw
And
any of Energon or Cybertron, so I have my recollection is amazing. Just never saw any of it.
well, yes, exactly. And Cybertron started this year, so you would have had Energon at the start of the year, and then Cybertron at the end of the year. And as we've established previously, Japan would have dumped the entire series of Galaxy Force, which is their version of Cybertron, in one year-long hit, all 52 episodes. Significantly as well, we spoke about Dreamwave last week and the end of Dreamwave and people not being paid and all sorts of terrible things that went on with that. And we've moved on to IDW. IDW Infiltration. Transformers Infiltration was the first IDW comic story where the Autobots came to Earth and there was all sorts of shenanigans. We had a new cool cast of human characters and it was a really interesting, fresh look at the story. And
Yeah.
I, it's it's done. It did exactly what it needed to.
Yes.
Whereas Dreamwave was very much a continuation in a lot of ways of all the stuff that was established in 1984. This was a new version, a new way of looking at things, which is significant as well because we're only a couple of years off of the Bayverse movies, which is again was another take on this. However, this was a lot more G1-esque, had the G1 cast of characters, and they looked like the G1
Yeah.
characters. You could
Yeah.
tell who they were supposed to be,
Yeah. Yeah.
which wasn't always the case with the Bayverse movies, but we'll get to that in a couple of weeks' time. And that was pretty much it. There wasn't a huge amount going on. The actual live action movie was probably announced around here. And it would have been starting production probably around the end of this
Yeah.
year and moving forward, but we'll get onto that again. So let's get onto the toys.
Let's do it.
And again, we have another exciting bumper crop of toys this year. And let's do the thing that I do. There we go. Whoosh. Almost seamless, but not quite. So, this is the first year that we had a Transformers crossover. Now, Star Wars is massive, always has been massive, always will be massive, but it's still riding off the back of the prequel movies. The final prequel movie was 2003. 2003 was that when? Yeah,
Yeah, sure
2003
was,
for Revenge of the Sith. So we're only a couple of years away from that. So they've got the entirety of the Star Wars saga to play with, and they decided to pick a few iconic vehicles, such icons as Boba Fett's Slave One, which is
the
not
best
allowed.
ship in the entirety of Star Wars.
It is amazing. I do love it. It looks like an iron, but is just
A flying iron.
so. I've always loved that ship.
Yeah,
Apparently, we can't call it Slave One anymore because Disney don't like that.
yeah.
Whatever. I had the Slave One. Just
So I've still got it. Not
yeah.
not the greatest of toys, but it's Slave One. Like, so I love Slave One genuinely. Like,
It's a great
quite happily. I could quite buy new Slave One toys all the time. Same Boba Fett toys. Like, so.
Yeah, the thing with the Transformers crossover Star Wars line was that the vehicle modes very much like normal Transformers. The vehicle modes were amazing,
Yeah,
but
they
the
were.
robot modes were mostly pish.
They were.
Uh,
Agree.
yeah, I just didn't, and it was an odd line because the robot modes were sort of billed as sort of mech suits because they had a pilot. They weren't
Yeah.
sentient. It wasn't technically a Transformers crossover. What it was a money
Yeah.
grab.
But that's all the crossovers. Let's call it
Yeah,
a spade a spade. My opinion, so this must be the first crossovers. Like the Star Wars one was the first crossover series.
Yeah.
So I like the idea of crossovers because I like, especially even more so now, I think it's good to have something that's just different, adds a different variety, adds a different flavor rather than just kind of trying to be, let's always just try and be Transformers. Do something fun, do something different. I like some clever stuff. And there are, in the Transformers, the Star Wars crossovers, there is one certainly that I've always enjoyed, and it's a shit toy, but it's a fun one. But I'll share it when we get to it. But the fact that the Darth Vader TIE Fighter had lightsabers to go with it, and I know obviously the others have. I didn't have the other two, but I had Darth Vader and I had Boba Fett. And they're you're right, they're not amazing.
Oh no,
they're not terrible toys. They're
no.
Straightforward. You know, Hasbro always have produced the best Transformers, as in toys that transform and that are fairly simple but also fairly complex and give you a bit of fun. And I think they kind of do that. The General Grievous was always one I kind of wanted, but I never bit the bullet on it. I don't know why I never wanted to Skywalker, but I never did. You know, it was just I wanted Darth Vader, I wanted Boba Fett, and I was kind of like, I'm done. But I could pick up the Grievous.
I definitely remember agonizing over whether or not to buy them at Toys R Us. They were fun, stupid toys. But yeah, so Slave One was great. Darth Vader I'd never had, but yeah, I didn't have the other ones. The reason why Vader has two lightsabers is because they're actually the launching missiles as well, which is a nice funky little feature there. And around this time, I'd moved to the house I'm currently living in actually. And around this time, I discovered that there was a Toys R Us quite close by, which was amazing.
Epic.
And deadly. Yeah, I mean, at the time I was working at Games Workshop, and when I had days off, I would just drive over to Toys R Us and buy figures whilst my missus was at work.
I've also the luck of good luck in terms of budgetary that I live in the countryside, so I don't have a Toys R Us nearby me. For a very short period of time, my work at the Toys R Us close by, that was deadly. The amount of times I just got lunchtime, just go, let's go see what's in it, and it's. I would buy same as now. I go to like game and I go in not to buy anything. I always come out with title things because it's so cheap. I do that with Toys R Us, so it's deadly. But yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I just a brief aside. I went to Toys R Us yesterday. Now that they are like a concession within WH Smith's of all places,
yeah,
and it was awful,
it was. I went to
just
one last year and felt
awful.
the same. It's a novelty factor. Like, did it have the bench with Jeffrey? Did you get your picture taken with Jeffrey?
No,
I did.
it was. Yeah, no, I went in there and most of the shelves were mostly empty and everything that was there was
Oh,
ridiculous. I mean, that's why I was only going to a really busy shopping centre
yeah.
at the end of the summer holidays. But anyway, let's move on.
Okay.
Right, so next up we have got Transformers Universe, the
Yes.
land of repaints, as we have previously well established. So here we've got Longhorn, Frostbite, Downshift, Blast Charge, Knight Slash Cheetor, and Snowcat. Now, of these, there is only one I like. The rest of them are just hideous repaints of toys that don't need repaints, and also probably shouldn't really even exist.
Go for it. Tell me what you like.
Well, I definitely like the same one you like, which is
Yeah, same.
Snowcat, because Snowcat is just an amazing red and black repaint of
A
the.
cool toy. Yeah. That,
It's
that,
just
that original
cool.
Snowcat genuinely like
It
what I said at the beginning of this, like before we were recording, I said the next time we go to TFN, I'm just gonna give you a budget. Really say, go and buy me some toys that I've not experienced that are going to be fun because there's so many of these that I still feel like oh I don't want to experience it. Snowcat's definitely on high on that list. What's the blast charge mold?
That is, what's her name? The Striker from Beast Machines.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's cool.
she was a cool figure. And Downshift is the one that was Wheeljack that wasn't Wheeljack. And
Ah, right, yeah, yeah.
Frostbite is Beast Machines again. Longhorn's Beast Machines. Actually, three of these are Beast Machines and two are Energon. Sorry, four Beast Machines and two are Energon. The Snowcat one I love because it's got some almost Tronny vibes with the black and the sort of neonish orange,
Yeah.
but also it also looks like if the A Team had a snowmobile. Uh,
That
that's
kind of does like the proper old school 80s. Does it not have like just a total sidebar, but the 18 toy line not have like a kind of snowmobile
I'm
type
fairly
tank
sure they
thing?
would have had
I'm
something
gonna go
like
have a
that. But
look at that after this.
they definitely had a tank. They had the Corvette, a
Yeah,
tank, and
fun.
the van. The Ramen Toys bread van. Have you seen the pictures of it?
Yes,
Oh my God, that's
yes,
amazing.
yes.
Anyway, sidestep. Right, let's let's move
Eight,
on.
by the way, Transformers 18 crossover would be
Oh
amazing.
yes. Well, we've
Like,
spoken about crossovers. I mean, the I've got literally right next to me. I've got the DeLorean one.
the Lorian one's beautiful.
I ummed and ahed about getting the Knight Rider one. I want it, obviously, and don't start. I ummed and ahed about it, obviously, and then everywhere sold out. So that was daft of me.
Oh,
Anyway,
if only you knew somebody who owned a toy store. The
only
dum
I
dum dum.
knew that. Oh well, such is life. Anyway,
Paddy.
I'll get Paddy to get me one. Right, so moving on. Universe continues, and they really got into their little mini bots,
These are good.
Japanese mini bots, and so this time they've got the Railbot, Rail Racer. Again, this is a KB Toys exclusive. I think it was a Toys R Us exclusive over here. I don't really remember seeing this
No,
particular line over
no.
here. I remember seeing KOs of it, oversized KOs a few years later. I had a few of
No,
them,
not seen that.
but I never saw it in the shops over here. But hey, that is what
I
it is.
have that the one that's the Overlord. I have that in black, but I don't know where it came from. Like I have no recollection of it. I just my eldest loves trains, so when I found it in a box like 2 or 3 years ago, I pulled it out and went, "Oh, look at this! Look, I'll show you." And I was
It
like, I don't remember ever buying that.
it
But
might be one of the KOs because I had a KO of that guy and I think it was black. It's just a little bit bigger than the micro version, but again, it could have been literally anything. Yet they combine into a robot. They look a little bit like Rail Racer. Fun times. Again, KB Toys exclusive. KB Toys has not yet closed down in the States.
Oh wow,
Um,
didn't know that. Never been
so
a KB Toys.
KB Toys is great. It was a bit like Toy Master when Toy Master was big
Ah,
over here, but now not. Um, Alternators. Okay, so
yes.
I was agonizing over my toy of the year this year, and I really wanted to go for either Shock Blast or Battle Ravage of these, um, because they were amazing.
Shock Blast
Uh,
might actually be one of my favorite toys of all time.
it's
And I've
so
not picked
good.
them for this because I purposely wanted to try and pick a kind of one of the Energy toys or
Mm,
something like one of Unicron toys because I thought that's kind of fun to chat about. And everybody knows that Shock Blast is out. Or Shockwave, let's just call him Shockwave for
yeah,
Shockwave's
yeah,
sake.
yeah.
Everybody knows how incredibly good that mold is. You know, for the longest time, he was my Shockwave on my shelf, and I don't have any more alternators out just now. One of the things I'm looking forward to when I finish my garage conversion and have a proper space that's taken a year is getting my alternators out because they are absolutely fabulous. I've got a few of these. I've got Battle Ravage, got Skids, I've got Pro. I think I got a few of these at the last not two TFN 2 years ago, and then they just literally I bought them and went, I'll need to put them out at some point, and they stay in a box. They never actually came out. But
uh,
Shockwave is just
yeah.
incredible.
Well,
I would love to own that car not because I want the car, but I just would love to own that. See, I own a version of one of my favorite toys of all time.
it's a funny thing because a few years ago, in my usual way of doing things, I got rid of all my alternators and I sold Shock Blast and I sold them to a guy and he got uh, I, I I sold him via Every, well Hermes as it was, and they left it out on his front step and it got nicked. So that was upsetting.
Oh,
And of course, if they found whoever stole it found it was a toy, probably just ended up in a bin somewhere. So
horrid.
and I've just remembered the Battle Ravage isn't the figure I was thinking of because it's the second version of Ravage that they brought out, the one that actually turns into
The Jaguar
the
something else.
Jaguar.
It's a
Yeah,
Jaguar. It turns out it's
it's a
a Jaguar.
Jaguar. Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah,
don't have that, and I've always wanted that because I just thought that's clever. It's
yeah.
fun, clever. The Wheeljack mold of this. Wheeljack's brilliant.
Oh, Wheeljack's great because it's a
Um,
repaint of Grimlock, which I didn't realize at the time, but I
yeah,
remember
yeah,
picking him up from Argos
yeah.
back in the day, and I had Sunstreak. I always thought I had Decepticharge, but I don't think I actually ever had
No, I don't have
Decepticharge.
the Decepticharge charge. I would quite like to. I would like to expand my alternators and
Mm,
Vinyltech collection. But I bought like 5 or 6 of them. I couldn't even tell what I bought. I know I bought
yeah,
Optimus and I know I bought Skids, but I don't remember what else I bought. I think I bought Pro. That's what I'm saying. I think I bought Pro.
mm,
But I definitely it's one that I would like to expand upon once I'm set up and see actually what do I have and what do I want. I never had
yeah,
Sunstreaker. I always watched Sunstreaker because it just like looks amazing. But yeah, love
yeah.
alternators.
I definitely had Decepticharge. Definitely had Sunstreak and Shock Blast and Wheeljack. I didn't have any of the others of this range. This wave rather. And again, it's alternators, so it's mostly repaints, even within waves.
Yeah,
So Shock Blast is Meister or Jazz, Wheeljack is Grimlock, Sunstreaker is somebody else. Um,
he's the
Dead End was the
Dead
next
End. Yeah,
wave,
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
No, Dead End.
Swerve and Battle Ravage are the same mold. Decepticharge is Wind Charger and Prowl. I don't know about Prowl. I think he might be a unique mold, and Skids is a unique mold.
Yeah,
So that is fun.
fabulous.
Let's move on, I think.
Yeah,
Oh
let's.
no, we've still got some Energon. Right, so the last
Yeah,
dregs of Energon, because of the theme of combiners that was going throughout the Energon series, they finally released combiners right at the end of the line. So there were three combiner teams. There was the air team, the construction team, and the we're probably tanks and stuff team. I forgot what they're called, but we'll get to the side in a second. They had lots of unique features. Um,
just the realization. Sorry, ignore me.
yeah,
Getting all excited there, just like looking at this, going, oh, "That's just cool." I remember these now. Like now, I'm thinking about it. I do remember these now. Never
So
had them, but I've not
much
seen them.
like the old school combiners from G1, you had a central bot for the body, and then you had limbs that pegged in. They were a bit tight on the molds, so each of these combiners would have a central body, which is a unique mold, and then two arms, or sorry, two limbs, which would be one mold, and two limbs, which would be another
Right.
mold. And even though this is called Superion Maximus, it bears very little relation to G1 uh, Superion.
Yeah.
All completely different names. Another Terror Dive. Um, and yeah, so that's that. I really like the central body of it, Stormjet.
Looks
Uh,
nice. Yeah.
it's a really, really cool figure. Um, but things I definitely didn't like about these combiners, and we'll get onto it more with the other ones as well, is that the equipment they come with, the weapons become the hands and
Hands,
feet,
they look a bit
and
pish.
they are so pish. They're not. It's just it just doesn't seem to be like thought about. Like the two feet, I suppose, they're just awful. And then the other thing is like two bits that sort of like you've got like two missiles that are in half, and then one of the bit sort of spins round, and you attach the other missile to it, and then you pull the two missiles in half, and they become like a weird four-way claw, and it's just awful. And it's also a foot. What? Anyway, terrible,
Pish.
terrible. I
They
mean,
don't look good.
the actual bot itself. Oh, and absolutely zero posability. The arms, when you had them in arms, there was no elbow joints.
Oh.
It was just the shoulder joints, which are part of the central body, and you had knees, which are part of the central body. Everything else is just jets stuck to him. Awful, 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 awful.
And am I right? Am I right? Just from the pictures, it's like it's like they've obviously Sky Shadow and Terror Drive are the same mold, but it's not as if
Yep,
that both of them are arms. They've got them set. One is an arm, one is a leg. Is
yep.
that? Oh my god, that's just awful. Like,
Yeah, it was well,
well,
anyway.
let's move on for this horrible
Yes,
thing. And
let's
let's look
move
at
on
a
to
horrible thing.
exactly the same thing for Devastator Maximus. They all had Maximus after their name for reasons. Now, of the combiners, I think this one is probably my favorite. That's not saying a lot. Um, again, weird, random, odd-looking weapons, but at least the claw things look like
Yeah, you could see that kind of
claws.
fitting into what
Yeah.
it is. Yeah, that doesn't offend me quite as much as the other
And
ones.
Steam Hammer looks awesome.
Yeah, I
He's
did think
he's
that.
he's really really cool. He's a
Yeah,
really cool mold. He looks really awesome. Um, he yeah, he just looks amazing. Um, in very G1 inspired colors, although no purple, black and
yeah,
bright green. Bone Crusher. The deco is inspired by Bone Crusher in did she come out in Energon? Or did she come out in Armada? I think she came out in Energon. But again, that was the repaint of the construction vehicle in yellow. And Sledge and Wide Load and Dust Storm. Random colours. Don't really understand
yeah.
any of it.
It's not. It's not. It's not. It's the least offensive of the three,
Oh yeah,
probably.
yes, it is. But as you can see by Dust Storm on the arm on that picture there, it's literally you just stick the alt mode, the full alt mode, with no transformation whatsoever. You just chuck it on as an arm,
Oh
and
man.
stick the claw on, and you are literally pegging that two-piece clear plastic claw onto the end of the hook of his crane mode, and that is it. There's no posability because you can see there's a peg holding the crane in
Yeah.
place. So there's
It,
no posability there. You've literally just stuck an alt mode onto his arm and his leg. It's just alt mode stuck onto, not even pretending to be anything else.
do you know
Anyway.
how you hear people saying like Energon will be somebody's G1.
Hmm.
Imagine this was your version, your first version of flipping combiners. Why are you even a Transformers fan? What this is
But
awful.
okay, I'm mocking it.
Sorry. I
But
am.
when we think about it properly,
Shh,
realistically,
shh,
it's
don't,
no
don't do it. Don't do it. Don't go back and
G
criticize
one.
previous years. We're
G,
not talking about previous years. We're just talking about the 2005. Like,
Posability wise, G1 was
yeah,
no better.
no, it wasn't. It wasn't. I
Um,
think it's the frustration when it comes to these kind of things. And I'll be honest, like why I probably switched off is there's clearly aspects that they're trying to do G1-esque things like combiners, right? So like the fact that these are literally called Superion, Devastator, and Bruticus, they're clearly trying to be G1-ish,
yeah,
but they're not at the same time. And that's when it's like you either go all in and not be in G1, and I'm absolutely all in for that because I think
yeah,
that there has been incredibly good stuff throughout the 40 years that has been new, unique ideas. Great. If
yeah,
you're going to homage something, homage it well.
yeah.
This just doesn't do that. This one, the Bruticus, am I right? This is the one that you could get the third party kit to make it more Bruticus, or is it a
Uh,
repaint of this?
I believe so. Yeah, or it might be the repaint of
I
this,
think it
but
must be the rebate because
this
that
is
looks cool. I quite like the purple black. It kind of looks like the not the G2. It kind of looks a bit more like the RID kind of color scheme for what is it here, Renation kind of wee
mm.
bit. Maybe not. Maybe actually, just the purple. I quite like the purple in that blackout. But
Also not
yeah, not
saying that
great.
this set in any way, shape, or form inspired the Bayverse movies, but there are two of the Decepticon characters involved in this combiner, Barricade and Blackout. Um,
Michael Bay's
w-
sitting going, "That's my favourite toy. How
yeah.
dare you?" Unsubscribe. He's just unsubscribed. Michael Bay's just unsubscribed because
Oh
of you.
man. Well, now we're down to 11 viewers. Um, but yeah, so again, it's the same as the other ones. It's pish. I don't like anything about this one. I didn't even
Now
complete. I
let's
completed the other
just
two
end
sets. This
Energon. Let's
one,
just say
yeah.
we are done with Energon.
We
When we know that Simon has said no to a transformer, you know you're in trouble. The line is dead. It's dead to me. I think it's time that you introduce me and our audience to Cybertron. Talk
Here
us
is
through some of this stuff.
Cybertron. Okay, so Cybertron is the third part of the wonderful, wonderful Cybertron Unicorn trilogy. Again, the cartoon had some lovely CGI effects. Um, I watched. I I'm not sure I watched any of Cybertron, so this could be very ill-informed. Let's focus on the toys now.
Yes, let's talk about toys.
I did not buy many of these. Although looking at this wave, I bought more of them than I thought I had. So
So talk
there
us
we
through
go.
some of the bangers, right? So
Okay, so
tell me the best, the kind of top ones on this then.
let's just very quickly go through. We've got Blur, Brimstone, Buzzsaw, Long Rack, and I think that's all of them. That were all repaints, so that was fun.
Yeah.
You've got two versions of Hotshot in one wave. Cybertron
Oh yeah,
Defense,
yeah.
well, not in
I
one
didn't
wave,
even
but in
realize that.
1 year.
Yeah.
Cybertron Defense Hotshot and Hotshot. Cybertron Defense Hotshot is an upgraded version of Hotshot rather than being a sporty sports car. He is a armored personnel character with all of the missiles and
Nice.
all of the weapons. Um, Sort of highlights of this for me are Dirt Boss, which you might talk about
Oh,
in a second,
yeah, yeah.
as the one toy you have that. Override,
Really
who
is. Yeah. Don't have any of
is
these. On it.
Override, who is amazing.
Looks funky as like I've got
Gosh,
the legacy.
she is,
Legacy?
yeah,
Is it
she
like?
is such a
Really nice toy.
amazing
Look
looking
nice
figure.
toy.
So we've eschewed the combining gimmick, and we've also eschewed the minicons for the most part in this line, although they do make an appearance. And instead, we are focused on things that launch missiles, which appears to be a bit of a theme this season, and the Cyber Planet keys. Now, the Cyber Planet keys are keys from 3 planets that interact by plugging them into the toy to produce some kind of feature. Sometimes they're really awesome, and sometimes it makes a missile pop out. And that's about it. Red Alert, who is obviously a character back from all the way back in Armada, in fact, now has a deluxe version and actually a far superior toy to his original version,
Looks
which
a
is
nice. That
nice.
looks a nice kind
It
of
is.
toy.
It's a
You know,
really nice.
I always like a red translucent windscreen. I don't know why. Always have. Always thought that's cool. And
It's,
that one looks nice. That
it
does look.
it is nice to have a bit of translucency. Long Rack is well, I don't want to talk about Long Rack. He's named after the giraffe from G no
Beast Wars Neo
Beast
or Beast
Wars
Wars
Neos,
2?
that's one. Yeah, Neo.
Beast Wars Second, yeah.
Snarl is a wolf, that's nice. And Sideways is I can't remember if Sideways is actually the same character as the Sideways from Armada, who was the motorbike that had the two heads.
Hmm.
But he's a really cool, like, stealth jet bat who actually at one point
Oh,
in his life became a repaint of, or was repainted to become the first Senator Rat Bat.
really? Oh, I'll need to have a look at that toy then. That
Yeah,
sounds
so
cool.
that's pretty interesting and an awesome thing. And there's another boat, Thunderblast. He's a boat. That's nice. So there are three planets. There's Velocitron, which is the speed planet. There's the Beast planet, which had green cyber planet keys, and there was the other one, and I've forgotten what that one was. But there's the red
What,
ones, the green ones, and the blue ones.
what about a
Probably
yellow
mentioned.
one? Because a yellow sideways looks like a yellow one.
Yeah, I think it's because he's special
All right, okay. And
for
then the
reasons.
Cybertron, like Hot Shot, for example, it looks like an ace, like Ace of Spades.
Yeah, the I think some of the Autobot ones had Cybertron ones.
Hmm, that's cool. That's good. I didn't know that. I didn't know that about Velocitron. There you go.
So let's move on to yeah, and yet another version of Cyclonus, um, and Blur, the worst toy. So Scout class. This is a little bit more fun. We had
Yeah.
a big range of small vehicles for Cybertron, and they all had the little cyber key features, and there's some really quite nice little vehicles
I've
in
got a
there.
couple. I've got the two. Is it Ransack? I'm sure it's a motorbike. I'm sure I've got that, but in
Mhm.
a different color. Yeah, and a goldy green. I'm just
Yeah.
looking over just now, and then I've got lung nuts. And I swindle. I love that. These I've picked up at TFN. Many
Mm.
like I've talked about this the aspect that these toys never appealed to me at the
Mm.
time. They're generally pretty cheap, so when I've seen them on like a toy foo or something at end of the day, and I've got a couple of quid. These have been the kind of toys that I've picked up at points that have made me go a couple of these. And there are some on this that I would probably pick up if I saw them.
Yeah. I had Swerve. He was very cool. He was carrying over the Energon theory of having gigantic Autobot symbols, robots in disguise. Um, so he was quite fun. Who else did I have? Um, I had the Street Speed Minicon team, but from Galaxy Force as opposed to Cybertron itself. Armorhide was quite cool because he looks a little bit like Pipes. So that
Oh
was quite
yeah.
nice. There's a couple of little nods. However, and we may touch upon this again later, the best figure in this entire line is Scrap Metal because he's just awesome.
Just cool.
Just a
Just cool. Yeah,
fun
with the whole.
little, yeah. Very. I always thought of him kind of Zoidish, but anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's got definite Zoid-esque feelings going on there. Yeah,
I'll share my opinion on him later for some weird reason.
spoilers. Yeah, so there's some really nice figures. They're good little play bots. They had fun little features. You had some interesting beasts. You had some speedy ones, and you had some other bits and bobs going on there. So let's move on from those and on to Voyager class,
Oh,
and
some
indeed
cool
Ultra
things looking
class.
at. Oh, that sorry, I just saw one that looks awesome, and I was just like, oh, I didn't expect that. That
Well,
dark crumple zone looks funky as colored.
yes. So we had quite a few figures in this range. We had a few. Do we have any last year for Cybertron? No, maybe not. So Crumple Zone, might talk about him later. Cybertron Defense Scattershot. So Cybertron Defense was like some of the characters got upgraded within the storyline, and therefore they had all sorts of fun, funky things. So Scattershot, he was a big missile thing. Cybertron Defense Red Alert in the Ultra class, again, big
Yes, it is, yeah.
missile launchers, very
That's
much
cool.
Machine Wars, Soundwave kind of vibes, or Double Dealer, that sort of big
Yep.
ICBM kind of rocket launcher thing going. That version of Jetfire, love it. A big green, uh, like not passenger jet, transport jet, I suppose. He was amazing, and also the first Jetfire in these ranges that doesn't actually combine with a prime. So that's
You
fun.
sound really convinced of that.
Yeah, no, I'm not, and I'm hoping that
I
we can
had
just brush over
I
that and move on.
well, let's move on.
Good.
I had the Dark Scorponok. I loved. I've said this already. That Scorponok mold is one of my favorite.
So
Again, one of
good.
my favorite toys.
So
That
good.
Dark Scorponok is gorgeous. But I gave it away. I gave it away to Andy from TF the Show because I knew that he wanted one, really wanted one. And as much as I really enjoyed it, I knew I was never going to display it again, and it would have just sat
Mm.
in my storage. And it would have been nice to keep owning it. I'm not going to lie. And if I ever saw one again at a cheap price, I'd probably pick one up. But I that mold, and I know we don't really touch on the BotCon exclusive, so I'm going to just talk
No.
about it now. When they did the BotCon exclusive of that mold in the G1 Scorponok colours,
Mm.
I don't think there's been a toy that I've lusted for the way that I lusted for that. And the only time I financially could have bought it, I saw it at Toy Fu. I mean, I'm talking obviously years ago. And as I was walking up the side, going, stuff it, I'm buying it, somebody bought it in front of me. And I was genuinely devastated. And then I sat in the bar watching them transform it, watching them, and I just had the such pangs of jealousy. Had I bought that, that still would be on my shelf to this day, because you know what it would go with perfect size with
Mm.
my one of my favorite toys, which is the Toy World Fort Max. The size of that is perfect for the Toy World Fort Max. So if I had that G1 Scorponok to this day, that would still be out on display because it was just beautiful coloured. Anyway, enough. That I really appreciate. I really appreciate. Do you know what I had on my mind to try and pick up at this TFN, but you know, when you work behind the stall, it's not as easy to go for a hunt. You know, I
No.
think it's easier for me to. It would be easier for me to genuinely. I joked about this, but it would be easier for me to say, Simon, do you want to go buy me some toys? Because it's it's easier for me to say one of yours to go than it is for me to go,
Mm.
which is takes away from some of the joy. And I need to try and find a way to get back to that kind of just wander and not just rush buying like I have done in the past. But the Soundwave has never one I picked up, but because I wasn't buying these toys, so I never even knew there was a Soundwave at the time. But I've always wanted it, but I've just never seen it to buy. Like I've never been in the right space, the right time to buy it. And I know that it's sold because Andy obviously was wanting it sold this year. He picked one up this year. So at some point I do need to rectify that. I don't have that Soundwave mold. I don't have them all, but I've got a good selection, and I don't have a version of this
I
Soundwave in my collection, so I need to rectify that.
Yeah, it's a fun mode. It's at that sort of area where they decided that Soundwave should be a stealth jet. Soundwave has been multiple things in his lifetime, but yes, stealth jet was this time round.
Yeah.
He had some fun features. He had those three like canisters, and they went into his chest in the same way that the old cassettes did. One of them turns into Laserbeak, which is fun. And the other two are weapon pods. One of them sort of
Cool.
transforms out and becomes his gun, and the other one becomes
Oh,
his
that's
missile pod
nice.
to go on his shoulder.
Oh, I
They're
definitely want
all
that.
yeah. It's a really fun figure. Vector Prime I've touched on earlier. Amazing looking figure
Yeah, it's a
in
great
both
toy.
modes. He is super fun. Definite Darth Maul's Sith infiltrator vibes in his vehicle mode.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, really like him. Mudflap, not really interested. He's just a construction vehicle, but looks a little bit like Hotspot. Whatever.
See the
And he,
evac.
Well, just goes sucks me back.
Right,
Yeah,
I'm
he's
going to
just
ask you
a
a question then.
really, really nice helicopter. But anyway, what are you going to
Is
say about him?
is that the one that got recolored? Was it? Oh, I don't know what it was. What it was, a convention or something? It was recolored into a Springer, or like was green, so it wasn't Springer, but it was it was close enough.
I'm going to go with maybe.
It just looks like it, and I'm like, I remember having a Springer or a Springer X toy that looked like Springer. I'm sure it was a. It looks like Springer, but it's or like it's obviously Springer, but it's not called Springer. It's
Yeah,
maybe just still called Evac. So
you might be
maybe
right with that.
next year, maybe next year's
Possibly,
toys.
possibly. Leo Breaker, a brown weird lion type dude, who I mean, I suppose he's sort of no, he's not. He's Leo Breaker. He has Leo Convoy or Leo Convoy vibes, but isn't really
Aye.
that. Although the Leo Breaker mold does transform into a third mode, which is a claw that goes on Cybertron Optimus Prime. Speaking of Cybertron Optimus Prime, we'll get to him in a second, but Wing Saber combines with him again. He's a
Ooh.
reasonably awful toy on his own, but does become an interesting jetpack for Optimus
Is
Prime.
he not on your list? Is it not one of the ones we've talked about recently? You're wanting to pick up?
That what no, because there's an Energon version of Wing Saber who I haven't got.
Ah.
But Fans Hobby have just shown pictures of him.
Oh.
So for their version, so maybe the only downside to that is I'll probably have to get another Energon Optimus Prime.
Yeah.
Ugh, why buying
You
things?
this is my challenge with Power Master Primes the just now. So I feel your pain. Feel
Yeah,
your pain.
yeah. Gotta have them in all modes. Anyway, Legends class. Now, I could be wrong, but this is the first Legends class series within mainline Transformers that is akin to Legends class that we know today, in that they were bigger than the smaller class figures that we've had the last few years. And I think it might even be the first time they were called Legends class, but I could be wrong on that. And there's some really, really nice figures in there. They had reasonably complex transformations for their size, and they look pretty cool. Yeah, and obviously lots of repaint potential on those. The Optimus Prime I've got, the
I've got
Megatron I've
that.
had in the past.
Morpheus Prime has that.
Yes, well done, Moff. Um, the Megatron I've got, or I've had, he's got quite a fun little transformation. They're cool, nice little cheap toys to fiddle with, which is what you want really. And minicons, they had a minicon class, which was two packs versus repaints of previous. Basically, just took two of the three packs together and
Yeah.
split them into twos. Um, so that's that. And then we have leader class and supreme class. So leader class, you had Megatron and the obligatory Galvatron repaint. Um, Again, we've sort of discussed this before. Megatron, he he looks I hated it. I hated it. I really did not like it because it came packaged in the shops as robot mode, and I didn't like it. I didn't like his Gatling gun wheel. I didn't like his weird spiky missile thing. I didn't like his design of his head because, we've just gone from Armada that had a stag beetle head, which was stupid, to Energon that had Galvatron's head, which looked amazing, to this, which looked like a generic bot. However, the vehicle mode, it's a Batmobile, and it looks
See, that's Galvatron's the Batmobile.
well. I
Megatron's like the Joker mobile. It's like the Joker stole the Batmobile and repainted it.
Yes.
Both look sexy as get out. Like I want to own one of these to experience it. I don't have this Megatron mold.
Yeah,
I do try and collect Optimus and Megatrons. I don't have either of these original molds of the
I
Megatron,
know
which
they are.
delicious.
It is a really, really nice alt mode. Um, Robot mode is not particularly great. It's got a few sort of design cues from like Unicron in some places. The sort of
Right.
some things that look a bit unicorny on him, and he is what it is. He's imposing. He's massive, absolutely massive.
Yeah, I've heard.
Uh,
I don't know if I've ever seen him in person, but I've heard that like you don't expect him to be as big as he actually
yeah,
is.
he it's a bit of a scale issue when you've got him facing off against Optimus Prime, and when you've got Prime in full Cybertron mode. He's a lovely, lovely figure. He's not that tall. He's quite tall, but not that tall. He is very wide with all of his wings and stuff out.
Yeah.
I mean, my shelf. I always have trouble sticking him on the shelf, and I've got three of him on that shelf, and I have to fold his wings in to try and get him in. But yeah, great figure. Not my bot of the year, although probably could have been quite easily. But I had another thing in mind this year. Yeah, again with the Cyber Planet key, he has all sorts of missiles and whatnot that pop out when you pop it in, and he has a removable matrix, which is a fun feature. One of the few that existed at this point. And then you have Supreme Class Starscream, which is stupid. A bit like the last Supreme Class figure, Supreme Class Cheetor, it is a gigantic
Oh,
version
whoa,
of a
whoa, whoa, whoa,
character.
whoa, whoa, whoa!
What?
He wasn't the last Supreme Class figure, surely. Unicron.
Okay, sorry. The last Supreme Class
Last,
figure that wasn't a planet.
and it wasn't good. Yeah, this looks weird. Like, like the Cheetors, like this then scales with nothing. Like Unicron does really scale, I suppose, but Unicron play feature functionality within
Yeah,
your toy line's
yeah,
great. This and the Cheetor are just like, let's take a toy. It's almost like that. Like you can buy Starscream in normal and Legends and in Supreme Class, and it's just like, but why is it? Why have
okay.
you done that?
Unlike Beast Wars gigantic stupid Cheetor, Supreme Class Starscream, there is a canon storyline reasoning for him
Is it
being that
actual?
big. Yeah, he
Oh
gets
wow.
he gets that big to fight Unicron.
Okay, okay,
They
all
make
right,
him giant and he fights Unicron or
okay.
something along those lines. So he does actually have a purpose for being absolutely gigantic. But the problems with the toy, I found was that he wasn't very good. He looked nice in robot mode, and they sort of went through a kind of a Tetrajet kind of feel
Yeah,
in this line, which is nice.
I like that.
Um, and he has his crown, which I think is the first time he's come with a
I
crown.
think I've heard that. Yeah, yeah.
And he's got lights and sounds and whatnot and all of that. But transformation wise, he's really basic.
Uh,
It's just a really big, basic toy. And yeah, I had him. I hated him.
yeah.
Um,
Definitely
uh,
not selling me on that toy. I've not got quite space for a toy that big. That's that.
no, no. I mean, luckily we do have another Supreme Class toy coming next year, I think.
Ooh,
But we'll get to that.
oh, I'm excited.
Oh, well, I mean, you know what it is.
I don't know if I do.
I
Remember, I
mean,
don't know this time. Is it the fact that it's called Cybertron? Like, is that the kind of giveaway?
yeah, a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, I do know that toy then. And yes, I do have that toy. He's
Yeah.
beside Unicron.
Yeah,
Okay.
so I think we're on to bots of
Yes.
the year. Now I can't remember who's first. Let's find
Me.
out.
It's me.
You! It's
Yeah.
Moss bots of the year. And
And so what did you say you fit this reminded you of?
a Zoid. It
A
has
Zoid.
Zoid
Yes,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah. It
vibes.
reminded me from the moment I saw it, it made me have Metal Gear Solid vibes.
Yes.
And then I think there's three colours. If there's more than three colours, I don't have all three more than that, but I think there's three and I've got all three. This was a toy that from the very first moment I saw it, I went, that's cool. And I don't know what it is about it. It's not really the bot mode, it's the alt mode, and it's just fun. And I have three different colors, and I've got two of one in, but I can't remember which one it is. I've got two of it's either this or I think the yellow one. There's just something fun about it, and it picking it up, playing with it, posing it, letting it sit. I remember having it at one point, I have one of them sitting as if it was like a kind of spider on top of my monitor.
Mm.
don't know. There always was something fun about it. It was a toy that, as I say, I saw it. I didn't buy it the first time I saw it, but I couldn't get it in my brain. Like it just stuck in my head, going, "That was cool. I want to see that again. Like I want to get more." So it might not be the best toy of the year. I could easily, go back to the conversation about alternators.
Mm.
The one of the best toys of all time is Alternator Shockwave.
Yeah.
But it's not as obvious. But everybody knows that. Everybody knows that's a good toy. There's toys in this line that are absolutely obvious that they're really good toys. Dark Cybertron, Scorponok. This is a fun toy that totally surprised me. Did not expect. Wasn't expensive. It's cheap, small. Has always had that bit. And even I was saying to you when I'm reorganizing the garage and I'm finding stuff, and I found these, and I just was like, it just made me smile. And I think if a toy can still do that after so many years, it's something good about it.
Yeah, I mean he's great. There's the orange one and the yellow one. There might be other colors, but there's also
a blue one.
There could be a blue one.
Maybe
There's also
nonsense.
Kobe, who is a different one entirely, who's got sort of teal accents and is. But he's an exclusive one. He was a character in the show, apparently. But he's an exclusive one that came in a pack with him and Optimus and Wingsaber. And they're all wonderfully colored. They've got translucent bits. They've got chrome bits.
I'm looking forward to seeing that.
Really rare. It's really expensive. It came out in Japan in this year, which we weren't really touching upon, but it did come out in Japan this year. I haven't got any pictures of it up because I've just thought of it. I do have it though. It's sat there. I'm not going to get it out. It's an amazing figure. And Kobe was. I got the Optimus with the Kobe bot, but my friend Dave really collects characters, so every version of a character, and because Kobe was a specific independent character, he really wanted that toy, so I sold it to him for money. The other thing, just last thing I'm going to mention about this toy is the cockpit that looks like an Apache gunship.
Yeah, I always
really.
In fact, it looks really like. Oh, what's his name now? I'll have to pick up a toy because I'll then show you it and you'll remember the toy. You'll remember who I mean. I can't remember his name.
Oh, yeah, that
Rotorstorm.
Looks like Rotor. Thank you.
Like,
did we have it like last week? We couldn't remember Rotorstorm's name.
No, I definitely have. We have had that issue, but I think it was last week. But it kind of reminds me of Rotorstorms. Like,
yeah.
I never really thought about that until now. But
I suppose being called Scrap Heap, it sort of gives you the impression that he's made of lots of bits of other things. But then again, Anyway, he's a fun toy. And my bot of the year is actually Crumple Zone, which is not an Optimus Prime. I mean, we have got an amazing Optimus Prime this year, but I don't want to do Optimus Prime every year. I got this figure, and he's just fun. He is not the best.
Stunning.
He is not the best toy in the year by any means. His transformation is fairly simplistic. His robot mode is massively top heavy. He's got sort of gorilla kind of proportions. He skipped out on leg day very much. So. His legs are quite short and quite skinny, and he's got his massive arms, which are obviously part of the transformation with his gigantic translucent wheels. He had a really great roll on him. He's just so fun.
And the dark version of him looks
I didn't have the dark version, so I'm not going to get too excited about that. But yeah, you can't really see it. But the two on his back, the two white bits on the back, those are the missile pods on the vehicle mode. So they flip round when you put the cyber key in. They flip round. He has his two massive shoulder launchers, and the vehicle mode again. They're sort of facing backwards when he's in car mode, and you put the key in, and they flip forward to become
kind of a bit like Armada Starscream.
Indeed, a bit like that. Yeah. It's awesome. A really fun toy, and I might actually track down one and get another one because it's just fun.
Let's put that as a TFN mini pickup. Because that I would like to see that one. That sounds cool.
Yeah,
I am looking forward to.
It's got cool. It's got like a trap jaw-esque jaw as well. Just
Masters Universe. I was thinking that as well. Actually, I like that. I like it a lot, mate. Good choice. Good
Cool.
choice.
And that is us all done on toys for this year. Quite a few to go through. It's only going to get worse.
Or better. Like I say, I've thoroughly enjoyed this because I'm getting
Oh,
toys that I definitely haven't seen. So thank you so much for being so knowledgeable.
yeah, I'm surprising myself by knowing things. Yes, so next year, next week, next time, we move to the year 2006, which will be us drawing a line in some respects over the format and how we've been doing things recently, because we're going to be moving on to 2007 in a few years, and then everything gets a bit mad. So we're going to have to rethink slightly how this is going to work,
Yeah.
because otherwise the episodes are going to be 3 hours long, and nobody, not even any of our existing 11 viewers, will still be watching at this point. So yeah, that's how things are going to be going. But that's that for another time. So 2005 next year, we've got the 2006.
6, yeah.
2006 next week. The last dregs of Energon, and another fun and very exciting line, which actually has a massive impact on the fandom and indeed the collection for many, many years to come. But more on that.
Oh, exciting.
So again, thank you if you have stuck this out, for watching and indeed listening if you are listening to us. We really enjoy making these videos and this podcast. So please do stick with us. We're going to carry on regardless, even if nobody's watching or listening to it, because if nothing else, it's a really good excuse for me and Moff to talk about toys, and that is awesome. But anyway,
Never a bad idea.
if you have stuck it out, please do like and subscribe. Maybe tell a friend, and please do also comment. We need more comments. We like interacting with you guys, so please do that. Again, thank you for watching. I have been Oddimus Prime.
And I've been playing Time Off.
We'll see you again.
Take care.